Welcome to Seeing Scarlet. It's Shelby here with Tyler, and we have another Lady Raider commit to talk about today. This time, a big. We have Jada Malone from Texas A&M. Don't hold it against her, y'all. She got out of there. She is a Lady Raider now. She is a 6'3" junior rising senior forward who averaged 8.7 points per game, 4.9 rebounds per game, a 62.6% field goal percentage. Everybody pass out with me there. And only 18.9 minutes played, so she's a very efficient player when she's in there. She also had interest from Mississippi State, Baylor, and Kansas State. So pretty good lineup of teams there, but she is coming to Texas Tech, and we are very excited to have her, aren't we, Tyler? Let the people know a little bit about her background and kind of how she ended up at A&M, and then we'll get into how she ended up here.
Yeah, so I am super stoked for Jada Malone. She's one of the bigs that were on my list. I've followed A&M women's basketball very closely for the past several years, like my second team. So I know a lot kind of about the program, the ins and outs of it. So Jada Malone, she came in, she was class of 2021, and she came in as a very, very, very highly touted recruit. She was number 91 in the ESPN Top 100, the number ninth player in Texas, number seven in the country in her position. And she was a 4-star out of Spring, Texas. And I think that the key thing that I really want y'all to understand about how good Jada Malone is she was recruited originally by Hall of Famer Gary Blair, who was the coach at Texas A&M. She actually played under Gary Blair her first season there. And fun fact about Gary Blair, he is a Texas Tech alum. So after he served in the military, he got his GI Bill and he went to Texas Tech. So A&M has their court named after a Red Raider. Just some cool things to note on that.
Fun
So,
fact.
who knows? There's a connection there, kind of ish. We can make it a connection. So, yeah, she was recruited under Hall of Famer Gary Blair. Gary Blair's known for having these types of bigs in his system, and they've been very, very, very successful. Like Danielle Adams on the 2011 championship team, the SEC title team with Sarah Johnson in 2021. This was kind of like that's what he was known for, and that's what his staff was known for. And Joni Taylor was able to utilize her when she came in really well. Um, with Coach Blair, one quote that I wanted to share was this is what he said when she first signed. We've known Jada and her family for such a long time. It already feels like she's been a part of the Aggie family since her seventh grade year. So he had her eyes on her for a very, very long time. She is one of the top players in the state, and I'm excited to add her versatile skill set in the paint and perimeter to our team. We're ready for Jada's career to begin here as an Aggie and end as a Red Raider. He didn't say the last part, but now we know.
Let's go. I was like, oh snap, really?
Yeah, no,
You
it's
sold me. I was in. I love that. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's cool. She ended up where she's supposed to be. Everything happens for a reason. She's had a journey. She's also missed some time with injury, as we might talk about a little bit in her film, but she's coming back strong. And I think next year for us, she's going to be even stronger as that second year off of injury. So this past year, again, she redshirted in the 23-24 year. So this year she was kind of shaking off the rust early in the year, but as the season went on, she just got better and better and back to her old self. Some of her notable performances this year against number 17 Ole Miss, she had 14 points and 7 rebounds. Number 15 Tennessee, 7 points, 2 rebounds. Number 4 Texas, 12 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists. And number 20 Alabama, she had 17 points and 6 rebounds late in the year on that one. Her season high was 26 points versus Southern Miss back in November. She had 2 double doubles on the season, quite a few other games where she was very close with 9 rebounds, and 15 games with at least 5 rebounds and a season high of 13. And again, she's playing about 18, 20 minutes usually, and she's putting up solid numbers. Actually, her per 40 numbers, to give you what I'm talking about there, are her per 40 numbers, which if you don't know what that means if she played a full 40 minutes, her averages would be 18.5 points per game, 10.4 rebounds per game. And the negative side of that is 5.2 fouls, because she does foul quite a bit. But that's why you pair her with another big, and these are all things that they'll figure out. It's not that uncommon to have a 5-player, a big that fouls quite a bit. That's kind of a common issue with a lot of them, because they're the last line of defense. And if your guards don't play good defense, they're back there having to play a guard, and it's unfair. And so sometimes they foul, but that is an issue that we'll have to figure out. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But yeah, offensively, she can do the dang thing. We're going to watch some clips in a minute. Just make note of these elite traits is what I would call them that she has. She's 98th percentile in overall field goal percentage and effective field goal percentage at about 62.6%. She does not miss a lot of shots in the lane, especially. That's where she shoots. Doesn't shoot a lot of mid range, but she's capable of it. You'll see some shots like that. But the big one here, which is a crazy stat, is shots at the rim. She is 73.6% on, which is like 98th percentile in the country. But even crazier, the D1 average for the shots at the rim, which is quantified as like within 4.5 feet of the rim, so right around it, is 57.3%. And she is at 73.6%, which is 16.3% above the D1 average. So you'll take that all day. And to further illustrate the point and why this is so important and why I'm sure she was so like tantalizing in the recruiting process for our coaches is as a team last year, Texas Tech shot 57.7% at shots on shots at the rim. So within 4.5 feet of the rim, we only made them 57.7%, which is barely above the D1 average, which is just not a good
Wow.
place to be. It's down there. All right. Most every team that's solid is going to be way higher than that. And she is very much higher than that on her own. And you've added some other players that are in that similar range. So you're kind of seeing a theme that they're looking at and adding players that can finish around the rim. And she fits that mold. So those are some big numbers to watch. Oh, also, she's 94th percentile in offensive rebounding percentage at 14.6%. And that means she rebounds 14.6% of all offensive rebounding opportunities when she's on the court. Solid number there, obviously 94th percentile. And you'll see that in the highlights as well. Defensive rebounding, I think is not necessarily like, at least doesn't jump off the page as numbers wise, but that could be a scheme thing. It could be a lot of different things. Just something that she could get better at. But offensively, she attacks the board. She's there. She gets home. You'll see that in the clips we have. So let's just watch them. Tyler put together a great little clip package. So let's let y'all watch them. I believe these go in order from like rebounding and putbacks into offense. So you'll see a little bit of all of it.
Jada Malone, yeah. And also Wade Botts.
There we go.
Look at that quick. Don't even come down.
Angel Reese rebounding.
Don't
No,
even come down.
joking.
Rebounding off a free throw? Bet. And look at this pass out to our three-point shooter.
Beautiful.
We got some of those. Find your shooters. Yeah, if you bobble it, hey, a little hook shot and one. Let's go. Let's go. You're going to see a lot of post-up clips
Double
here.
teamed.
Yeah, that girl just fell over. She said, okay, bet. They do this a lot at A&M. It's going to be something that I'm sure a recently signed point guard that we just had in Jada Nunez is going to make a lot of good passes like that. But we have other good guards that can pass. Danae, Bailey, Bird, even if she's getting more run this year. If she gets position, you get her the ball. She's not missing, Tyler. We just talked about it. 70-something% down there within the little circle. Look at that position down low. She's not missing this.
Of that. Up against a really good post player.
It's a 6'6" player there. Woo. That was back in 2023, right? I think that clip was from. So, yeah, sometimes she looks a little bit more fluid, maybe pre-injury, but you saw her getting back to that as the season goes. And we'll see a clip at the very end of this. She takes it all the way to the basket, and that's from this year. So she kind of got back to her old self as the season went, but that was a nice little post move in the lane.
Jada Malone. Again, you have to punish the press.
Yeah, this position, you're not going to have backside help. It's over with her. Yeah, Gemma going to do that all day with Jada. We saw that, and if you watch Jada Nunez's highlight package, she did that with her forward a lot on their team. You leave Jada open, she's getting the ball this year for sure.
100%.
Another great dump down pass from her guard.
She is not afraid of contact.
She's
she will
not.
go in there and destroy.
She is. And this is in transition. We love a good transition moments. We're not going to ever call her a burner, or she's not Sarah. That's going to be more Sarah's role still. Sarah's going to sprint the floor, and when she's in there, and we'll play probably faster when she's in there. That's cool. But hey, if she gets ahead of the pack, she can make a layup. Another one in transition catches the ball.
Woo! Look at that. Look at them skills.
A little outside the lane action
jumper.
shot.
Almost
She's
a
not
three.
afraid to take them is the important thing. We talked about that in other people's packages before. You just don't want to be afraid to take them. You got to at least take them. I actually love this play because I don't know what our offense is going to be this year, if it's going to be different, but we talked about this year, right? We had Sarah out her running this stuff, and they just ignored her because she wasn't going to shoot it, right? Well, she's out here kind of running a similar offense to what we do, where she's kind of the pivot point a little bit and running it, and she ends up with the ball here, and she takes the shot and makes it. So just a little bit of a difference. That at least she's willing to take it. I like to see it.
Hunter trying to go to the basket. Outside to Malone.
There we go.
They at least have to respect it, you know?
Yes.
Okay, let me take it to the rim.
Against Jessica Carter, who was a very,
Let
very
him
good
know.
post for Mississippi State. So she's been up against some elite competition in the SEC.
That's true. That's true. And you're like, okay, so has she played any or any Big 12 schools that we're going to play? Just this last year, she played Kansas State and West Virginia. This is against West Virginia, and this is so that clip I think you just saw was pre-injury, if you want to call it that. This is from this year. Very similar take. If you give her a lane, she's comfortable just taking it right to the hoop.
West Virginia has given up in an opening quarter this season.
Okay, get out my way. Let me. Okay,
Texas A&M.
There we
All the
go.
way.
Work.
Let's go.
Game on the Malone bucket.
Yep, there you go. So yeah, she can kind of do all the things you want out of a traditional. She's listed as a forward. My assumption is we would play her as a 5. Would just be my guess. That's kind of what she played at A&M, right? You probably watched more games than I did, but she played like a traditional 5 for them, didn't she?
Yes, for sure. She was definitely more of a 5.
Yeah, so that's my guess is we'll play her as the center, whatever you want to call it. These sometimes are antiquated terms nowadays, but she'll probably play the 5 as the roster stands, and she'll go out there and get buckets for sure. Just some other notes that you'll see. She overall the team A&M kind of had a tough season because their star player got hurt to end of the year, so they lost some games. So she might have had a negative net overall, but when you look at on and off comps, the team was better with her on the floor than if she was off the floor, and that's always a stat that I look at, and I'm like, okay, because that matters more to me. I'm like, okay, is she hurting or helping the team? Whether they're winning or losing, like it's hard to sometimes evaluate players when they're in a tough season like that because of injuries. But when she was on the floor, they were better in pretty much all categories outside of their defense, which was marginally different. Fouls again are an issue at times, but that's something they can work through or just normal. Analytic comps and just tape comps. We talked about this when we knew she was visiting, and I was like, yeah, she kind of reminds me of Vaughn Lay from Baylor. Sure enough, when I pulled up the analytic comps on for just Big 12 players, that was like her second closest comp in the Big 12 was 88% match to Arnett Vaughn Lay from Baylor last year. If you remember her, really good player. She also played at Colorado. Not the same exact player, but they have similar games. Like when I watched tape and film of Jada, like leading up to her visit, that's kind of the prototype, the player that jumped out in my brain. So I wasn't shocked to see that. So yeah, that's kind of the overview on the tape and a few other things. Do you have any thoughts that we didn't cover or anything else?
Yeah, I think that I was watching some of her press conferences to try to like pull some things
Oh,
about
I do
her
have a
and
clip
her
from a press conference. I didn't
mentality.
save it.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
One of the ones I did find was she was talking about how, they were going up against like, some like, really not great mid-major team. I think it was Mississippi Valley State, and they were
Yeah.
asking her like, how does this game actually help y'all when they were like, 1-11 or something. She said, well, when we're talking about offensive rebounding, which she is very, very elite at, she said that when you get to the SEC, it's very rare against that type of level of competition on defense that your first shot all the time is going to go 100% in. So when they were sometimes missing those shots on the first try, she had the opportunity to work on that offensive rebound and go for those second chance points to give them the opportunity to be able to stay in games because basketball is a game of runs. And she was like, we can't be getting put behind, we can't be getting put behind on these long runs. Like we need to be able to rebound offensively. We need to be able to get the ball up. We need to be able to let my teammates score. So again, I just see so many huge improvements just adding her on to this position, and she's going to bring that mentality that I'm absolutely going to love.
Preach. I love that about runs because we know that was an issue on our team this year, and they kind of figured that out as the season went on, and they started to kind of understand that's just basketball. I have a clip from a press conference actually, and so we can just play that since that's what you're talking about. I don't think it's the same one. That would have been funny if we found the same exact one, but it was different. This was after they upset a top ranked, a number 17 or top 25 Ole Miss team, and this clip was after it, and they were kind of asking her, when did y'all have confidence that you could do it or whatever? And she's just kind of like, I mean, we just kind of knew we could do it. Like, it was just like, I like the demeanor in which she answered it. So I was like, oh, it gives you a little bit of insight into her personality and kind of maturity. I think it shows her maturity for sure.
Yeah. What point you ladies said, hey, we can win this game if we make a play, or was that the case?
I actually don't think it started in the second half. It started when we started warming up. Like, we knew this was a very winnable game.
Yeah.
We match up really well with Ole Miss, and I think we proved that. It was just Coach Downey telling us, like, hey, have confidence in yourself. We got this just as much as they do.
And what obviously gave him a lot of problems. I don't think he missed a shot. Did you go in, go like, hey, was that on the scouting report? You came off the bench pretty early.
I wouldn't say it was on the scouting report. I just know that when I get in, I need to do what I need to do, and my teammates find me all the time.
I could cry.
I mean, it's just what I do. I just
Wow.
sit on layups. I don't know what you want me to say, sir. It's just, I'm just good at the game of basketball. Like, I don't know. I just love the nonchalantness of it. Like, she's just like, yeah. I mean, yeah, we thought we were going to win the game. And this was in the middle, again, they had a tough season. They had their star player get injured, and so they were losing quite a few games. And so to upset a top 25 team in the SEC in the midst of that, and to have, I'm sure that's why you asked that question, was like, when did you start to believe you could do it, right? And she's like, I don't know, before the game, in the locker room, we thought we could do it. So you love to have that mindset on the team.
Yeah, you love to have that mindset. And I actually pulled some quotes from an article that they wrote about her as she was going through her graduate program at A&M. Obviously, she's going to be switching over to ours shortly. But she was talking about how, like, one of the impactful lessons she's learned during her time at A&M is just the difference between being successful and not being successful in the details. And she said that, like, when you're in school, you need to spend extra hours studying because it could be what makes you get, like, an A or passing an exam. And she said on the basketball court, she said not making that game winning shot or not making a crucial shot in games is the difference between, are you going to the court and are you shooting extra? Are you getting 15 more shots in? Or are you not? And then that's what's preventing you from being great. And then on top of that, she's also talking about how, on the basketball court, she wants her team to be committed to make sure that that on that day of practice, they are putting 100% in, and that's the best they could possibly do on that day, because there is no going back in the past. They can't change it, and you have to always focus on the future. So I absolutely love that. Love that so much. Like, you can't go back in the past. So every day of practice, the team should be improving every single day. We shouldn't have to hear Coach Greg be like, oh, on this day we were goofing off, so we kind of got set back. No, we should be hearing improvement every single day. And she's going to bring that energy to the court. And that's what you love to see from someone with her as like a seasoned leader almost.
Let's go. I mean, I could cry. And this is not me saying they could have had great practices all year. We're not in practice. We don't know. That could not have been an issue. Who knows?
Right.
But you're bringing in someone that thinks that way. That's never a bad thing. And this team is pretty old all of a sudden, right? We had a pretty big junior class. Now 2 of them have transferred out. That's cool. But you go and added 2 seniors now, 2 more. So you kind of just kept that same number. And you have, Bailey Maupin, that's a senior. You have Danae Fritz, who's a 5th-year senior. Now you have Jim Nunez and Jada Malone, who are seniors. I think Jada's a 5th-year senior as well, right? Because she's had a redshirt year in there. So, or is she a true senior? I can't keep up with the years. But anyway, she's been in school for a bit. So you bring in these experienced players that they want to win, and they've been through it in different ways. They've been a part of winning programs. They've been part of tough seasons as well in different places. And you bring those types of people in, and saying that stuff, like, as long as she's not fake about it, which I don't think she is, right? She's coming from the SEC. You got to play that hard every time out. So, yeah, I like that. A leader, a veteran, someone that wants to be here, someone that wants to finish her season strong and help get this program back to where it belongs. And, they got a point guard now. They got a big now. Mixes in well, I think, with the other players that they have currently. Again, I think her and Sarah pair well for different reasons down there at the 5, different styles of play. We talked a little bit about defense. It'll be interesting to see if we change our scheme at all with a player of her caliber. Offensively, you're going to want to find a way to make sure she's okay defensively as well, so she can play as much as she can. And she's not a bad defender. I don't want to, make it more than it is. But when she got caught on guards, that's just not a good matchup. And we as a team struggled last year to guard one-on-one. And Sarah saved our bacon quite a bit because she could block shots. That's not necessarily Jada's game. Blocking shots. Right. So you don't want her to get stuck down there playing one-on-one with guards. She's pretty solid against bigs though. Like I didn't see many like issues where she just like couldn't guard a big defensively. It's just like any guard struggles when they get a little tiny guard on them. So yeah, that's the only thing that'll be interesting to see if we change our scheme at all when she's in there defensively or not. But those are things that I'm sure are welcomed things to figure out for them moving forward. But 62% on field goals, 73% on shots at the rim. This team wanted to get better at rebounding and finishing layups. And with their current ads in the portal, they've certainly done that in both ways. So we're going to see who they keep adding. We'll keep doing these updates. You got anything else you'd like to add on Jade? I know you've been excited for a while. Again, she's been on Tyler's list for a bit now. So if you got anything else, throw it in there. I'm sure we'll talk about her again. But
Yeah, I think I go back to when they made the tournament 2 years ago, and you're talking about, Sarah, like, Sarah would be a great pairing with her, and I can maybe even see a version of Jalen being a good pairing with her. And when she went to the tournament with that experience and how she really thrived and helped her defensively and even offensively, was she was paired with Janiah Barker, who was at A&M before she transferred, and Janiah Barker is one of the top most elite players in the country, one of the top forwards. And I think if you are able to give her some help within Sarah or Jalen and stuff like that, I think that's where you really get the
yeah,
Jada Malone that we all know and what we hope to see and love here at Texas Tech University. So that's just something to kind of keep an eye on, is that if you can get that fourth spot figured out, well, we've seen it happen.
yeah,
She can take us to the tournament 100%.
for sure. When I say pair with Sarah, I mean, to be clear, Sarah is like the 5 player that's coming on the floor when Jade is off the floor, not on the floor at the same
Yeah.
time.
Oh,
Although that would
okay.
be
Yeah,
an
yeah.
interesting lineup, but I doubt that's on purpose. Jalen would be the
Yes.
4 player in our current roster, and Jalen can absolutely help down low when she needs to. She can block shots. She can help out too, and provide that. Yeah, that's good. Jalen, go watch some
Janiah Barker film.
Barker film. She's about to. Where'd she just transfer to? She just transferred again. She might not have picked a home yet, but you want to? Hey, you want to come play with your former player? You and Jalen would make a great 4-match pairing. You got Janaya and Jalen as our 4s. I'm just pitching it right now. Just put it out there. Let's win a championship.
Cook.
We'll end it there on the Dream Fort. No, this is a great ad. They have some other players as well in the mix that we'll keep doing these videos on when those happen. But until then, welcome to the team, Jada Malone. You're a Red Raider, and we're going to end this with the classic Wreck 'em.
Rack 'em.